It's okay to look back to see how far you've come, but keep moving forward. Failure is seen as a bend in the road. Learn from failure and keep moving forward. And real change is difficult at the beginning. What do I mean by that? Well, you're going to find out in a few moments when me, my friend and business partner of the next big win, Jo, are going to come and speak to you. But to get the old heart pumping, to get the blood circulating around, especially on this cold winter day, one day before solstice, we need to introduce you to this. And as I say, we're back in the room. Jo, good evening. How the devil are you?
I'm good, thank you. I actually think today is the solstice day.
Really speaking, it's tomorrow at 3:47 in the morning.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, I think it might be in India, it might be earlier, but for Europe and the West, the Earth goes above the Tropic of Capricorn at 3:47.
Oh, I thought it was on the 21st, so that's interesting. See, I've learned something already. So
apparently they say it's 9 hours shorter than the longest day of the year on the 22nd of June.
Yeah. Does this mean that the nights are going to start getting lighter?
That's a great point, actually, because I always see that as a trigger point, because once we get to the 22nd of December, daylight improves, and we're actually now, it's a good positive note of more daylight, more sunshine, spring is coming, and spirits tend to lift up around, and that's not just in a personal capacity, but it's also on the business front as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love it when the days start getting longer, and I actually quite like a bit of end of year, New Year stuff. I mean, I know people say, New Year's resolutions, and most people break them by the end, by whenever it is. And I think that's fine. But I think resolutions are different from goals, aren't they? And I also think it's important to learn from what's happened in the year before. So, yeah, no, I'm interested to get into our conversation.
Yeah, I think that's quite a pertinent way of putting it, actually, because I think New Year is the anchor point, isn't it, where people have a reflection about the year that's gone. They have a think about the year going forward. Conducted very well in a sort of personal capacity, but I think, us as business owners and everybody out there who own businesses, looking to do new things here, that idea of reflection and looking back from where you come from, is probably an exercise that's not really done as well as it should be, but it's really good, I think, just for having some idea. Even if you don't achieve it, it's about reflecting, isn't it? It's about thinking forward.
Yeah. And I know that certainly in tech businesses and other businesses, often, sometimes fortnightly, actually, when they're doing, when we're doing agile sprints and things like that, we'll do a quick retrospective and say, well, what have we learned and how are we going to transfer that learning into what we do moving forward? In fact, one of my favorite retrospective techniques is the 3 Little Pigs.
Okay, what's that one?
So you've got a house made of straw, a house made of brick, and then a house made of wood, and they each represent different things. So one is, what have we got? What have we created that's a bit dodgy? You can blow away quite quickly. It's not, the foundations aren't great. The wood is sort of, what are we doing where we're getting there, and we've got some more work to do, and what have we got that's really, really solid. So yeah, just some different ways of looking at things.
In that 3 Little Pigs thing, is there a wolf character that hovers around?
Yes, so that's the thing. So the wolf can blow down the house of straw really easily, and the house of wood takes a bit more effort. But the house of brick, stay with good foundations, stays standing. So yeah, it's what have we created around that, and what can we learn from that? Some other things are just mad, glad, and sad. So what's made us mad, as in driven us up the wall and made us irritated and so on, and frustrated us. What are we delighted about, which is a glad, and what's sad, which is what would we change? But you can change those words around if they don't work for you.
It's an interesting thing, actually, because I like that analogy, and I like the way of doing that. I always find it that when you do the reflection bit, it's sometimes difficult to think about what has, I mean, because sometimes things to go very quickly, and trying to remember what the last 12 months has looked like. We know the big picture. We know that there's been challenges on the economic landscape. We know that patterns of behaviour have changed in terms of how people buy things, how people react. Lockdown has still left its legacy, its imprint on people's behaviour and attitude, digitisation. But actually remembering things in what I call micro steps, for me, I don't know if it's a sign of age or whatever, it becomes very difficult unless I actually look back at my calendar, which I did beforehand, thinking, blimey, there's a lot that's going on, but sometimes you can just subsume that into very poor memories.
Yeah, it depends what business you're in, of course, but I like to, this is going to sound really weird, but I look through the calendar when I'm doing the review of the year. And I also look through invoices, because there's something not about it. I don't look at the money. It's not that,
Yeah.
but what sort of projects have been invoiced? What have I enjoyed? What's worked well? What do I want to be doing more of, less of, and all of those things. And I think it's in the round as well, and thinking, how have the business activities shifted as well. And I know, you can look at what products have done well and which markets, which customers, have shown growth and those sorts of things. So I think it's really important to do that and see where things are tracking, because if we understand what's working well, I think isn't it easier to build and grow where there's natural potential and natural signs that things are going in that direction.
100% agree with you. You talk about invoices here, and as you probably know, I'm a big fan of tracking things here. And I think over the last few weeks here, what I've been tracking projects and clients that I work with and all the rest of it, similar patterns here. And it's made me actually think, even for next year, as I'm sort of going on 2 year, whatever it is, in business, that projects that I've done in an earlier part of this year that have come back again, I'm thinking actually work was quite enjoyable, it was profitable and all the rest of it. And it's made me think I'm going to slightly modify some of the products and services that I offer out the rest of the world because of that introspective and actually that retrospective look.
Yeah, because I think it's important to look at the business on using, good performance-related KPIs on how things have gone. And I think it's about having some personal KPIs as well as a business owner, in terms of what we want to get out of our business, where we want it to take us, what it's doing for us. I don't think everything can be hunky-dory all the time, but how much are we actually enjoying it and fulfilling what we want to fulfill as business owners too. I think that's really important.
It's interesting you say that, because I think it's that great analogy about when you do a retrospective and I'm a big fan, not always of looking backwards, but I think the past has some valuable lessons that we can draw from that in terms of how we've reacted to it, how our team have reacted to it, our business has done. So actually having something documented which records our progress and looking back on it, but I think having a useful benchmark, some idea about, did we progress as we thought we would progress, or have we gone backwards, have we gone sideways, have we made more progress than we expected? So having a yardstick, if you want to use the idea of budgeting or a plan that we made, even if the plan hasn't been executed, I think it's always useful to monitor that progress against what we thought would happen and unfold.
So what would you say some of your big wins have been in 23?
Okay, interesting. You beat me to, actually, because I was going to ask you about yours, but I'll go first. So big wins. From a personal perspective, a little bit more still here. I know that sounds really bizarre and it's probably not like a victory, but I think because all businesses go through some degree of turbulence and all the rest of it. So still to be here and still to be, slightly better off financially and otherwise compared to the previous year, I think is a good marker. Having made some interesting decisions on various things, of which in hindsight, some of perhaps I may not have done them if I did them again, but I still managed to go through them, survive and take some lessons from them. And actually just in terms of, the risk of making you embarrassed, some partnerships that I started with are still growing strong and going from strength to strength. So, for example, our business partnership, which started, I was about 2-3 years ago. Yeah,
it was right at the beginning of COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we got an opportunity earlier this year, and I think one good thing was we managed to make some time in our own diaries to meet up and have a planning day. And that was really productive and came out with some real positive stuff out there. And just refreshed, still feeling refreshed to actually go in for next year. So there's the financial gains, but there's actually still being in business. There's still getting some good feedback from people who are doing things, making mistakes on decisions, but they haven't beaten me in the backside in the sense of that's the end of the line. I know it's been within risk appetite and still here.
Yeah, that's really great. And I think, there are actually just, for anybody and for everybody watching as well, and we'd love to know how your year's been and what you're most looking forward to in 2024. But, surviving another year in business in the times that we're in is actually a big deal in itself, isn't it? And if you can survive and thrive and enjoy it, so much the better. But for anybody out there who has been finding it a bit tough, then the fact that you're here and you're still going and you're still at it, is something definitely that should be celebrated Absolutely. And recognised. Yeah.
What about some question to you then, Jo? What's your sort of, if you look back on it, your big wins or your things you're prouder of?
Yeah. So I've enjoyed. There's some key clients, some dream clients that I wanted to work with, and you know who they are, but. And I've been really privileged and proud to work with those, and it's been amazing. So really grateful for that, really appreciative. And one of those clients found me. So I was sort of trying to build portfolio and reputation and all of those things, ready to go and approach them. But they found me, and we did business, which is great, and I really enjoyed working with them. There's obviously, as you know, I've got my book, so I'm writing a book for Kogan Page at the moment on innovation. So that's another goal that I've had for a long time, and I wanted definitely to work with Kogan Page. I did one proposal for one publisher, and so that's what I wanted, and that's amazing that's actually happening for real. So more work to do. Halfway through the writing, and but that'll come on. And it's just been amazing to work with ongoing clients, since I started the business around about 13, 14 years ago, something like that. I've had clients that have been with me from the very beginning, and I really value that. I value the relationship, and I value the mutual support and the collaboration. So yeah, I'd say they're my three.
So just pick up on that, Jo, because I think it will be wrong for people to look at this and think, "Oh, we know how lucky." I think you're 13 years into your business cycle. Mm-hmm. People have found you, and Kogan Page, which is a major publishing house, agreed your proposal, not because they were misinformed, but because they did it consciously. What is it you think you did? What was the things that you applied in your business that actually got you to a stage where people would be looking for you? And Kogan Page would accept your book proposal, because it doesn't come by luck.
No, I think it's consistency, isn't it? And I think all businesses need consistency and keeping going and building and trying different things. I can remember the first time I ever went live, and the first time I ever went live on my own, and one person watched briefly and then disappeared again. And I was doing it to myself with nobody watching for a very long time. And it's the same with, website, blogging, social media, speaking, all of those things. It takes consistency, and I think it takes patience for things to build. And I didn't know that at the time, that you've got to really keep the faith, I think, and keep going with things. And I think I'd say that to anybody. If there's something that you want, be consistent about it, keep at it, try different ways and learn. And I think follow your own intuition as well, because I paid people for some great advice, in inverted commas, but they weren't really as experienced and qualified in their field as they made out they were. So yeah, use your intuition and work with really good people who do know what they're talking about and who are out there doing it, been there, done that, still doing it, and who don't give you the BS. So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, I think that's a really good, valuable lesson. I think that I found, certainly in terms of not just for this year, but as your business develops here, you develop, as long as you're receptive to taking in inputs here, you learn to develop some form of nose for those people who potentially are a waste of time, and you certainly don't have, you manage to get rid of them at a much faster rate as far as that's concerned. But you're fundamentally right that you can't progress and build a business unless you've got a support network and access to people to actually help you on that. You can't do it by yourself. It's absolutely critical that you have the right sort of people around you.
Yeah, and you know, every time I've not followed my own intuition, I've regretted it. You know, I could have predicted, but yet sometimes the brain overrides the intuition, doesn't it? So I think, you know, do stay true to that and do tune into that intuition. It's super important. And having goals is important. You know, somebody asked me, and it was a great question, and I love the question. I was in a session with a group of people internationally a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, well, aren't goals bad things? You know,
why do they say that?
Why should we bother with goals? And it was a good question in that psychologically, you know, for us, is it good for us because we might not achieve them?
Yeah.
Goals, you know, the pleasure of achieving a goal is short-lived, because once we've achieved it, it's right. Okay, what do we do now then? So what I was so my response to that was, it's not goals per se that are the problem, it's the goals that we set ourselves. They have to be the right goals for the right reasons. So there are two sorts of goals, essentially. There's a performance goal, which is, if I'm running a marathon, it's how quickly did I complete the marathon? You know, how fast, what pace do I want to go at? That's performance. And then there's mastery goals, which is, I want to be a better runner. And that's, I want to work on, you know, getting a smoother gait, or I want to develop a more efficient running style, or be more meditative, or whatever it is when I'm running. That's about the mastery of it. And then I think we need to choose goals that are going to be a pleasure to work towards. Now, they can be hard and challenging, and we can, you know, have those moments where we think, why on earth did I ever take this on? You know, what did I start this for? We all have that, don't we, when we're doing something challenging? But deep down, we know we're worth it. So it's worth it. So we keep going. So it's about having goals where the journey is one that we want to go on, you know, with all its ups and downs. We know that we will enjoy, be stretched, get what we want out of the journey. It's not just about the attainment.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I would probably say that for me, I mean, you cannot go on, if I'm going to use that phrase, journey, if you don't have a sense of direction where you want to end up going to. You're just literally going to go around in circles. It's very much like that person who says, you know, I wish to go away somewhere. I have no idea where I want to go, so I'm just going to wander off somewhere aimlessly without any sense of direction, sense of purpose there. I think the journey you make, you know, does have its twists in the road and bumps, and it's not always enjoyable. But I think as long as you can you formulate your brain to think, actually, what I'm doing actually has a positive outcome at the end of it. So it's not a drudgery, it's not a thing. We don't always necessarily get dopamine rushes for everything we do, but it's a direction. If you don't have a sense of a direction you want to go into, then I think that you're just going to really just have a business that's going to go round and round in circles.
I think goals are good for us.
100%.
As long as they're the right goals set for the right reasons, because I think psychologically they're good. They need to be realistically stretchy, but not so far out there. You know, we need to be kind to ourselves when we don't achieve them, learn from them and go again, or change the goal. And I think, you know, goals are something to be celebrated as well. But I'm with you. You know, you need to know where you're heading. It's the otherwise you're just wandering around in circles. You know, you 100%. Could end up.
So if you got that idea of goals, you've got that idea of reflection, taking out the positive things, which is really important. The last piece of the jigsaw to me, in terms of the direction you want to go forwards and what the future is looking like. I think you've also got to take on board the things that perhaps haven't been as positive, the things that, you know, some people might call them failures. I take the Thomas Edison approach to it. It's not a failure. It's just another step along the path. What for you have been the reflections that have been not so positive, you know, more negative than anything else?
Yeah, I think being true to myself in terms of the sorts of things I want to work on, and the sorts of organisations / people I want to work with, and making sure I'm doing things, that are going to match the diet and take me forward in the direction I want to go in. So there've been a couple of things I've done this year where they've been okay. It's been fine. It's all gone okay, and what have you. But I knew when I took them on in my heart of hearts that they weren't going to move me forward in the way that I wanted to move forward. And I don't think I would do that again. I think everything needs to be at least a reinforcement of where you are, or a stepping stone, and so on. I think I need to. I've been talking to a lot of people, as I'm sure you have. I'm hearing a lot of this actually. Do a bit more self-care. The well-being and fitness goals that I set for myself. I always prioritise business over those. And I'd like to be better and have some specific goals around that. And I think just just speak up more, and be more, share perspectives, and I'd like to share more content really, and make a bit more time for that.
Okay, in terms of probably similar things. I think I've made some decisions in terms of investing my time and energy in. I'm a big fan of learning anyway, continual learning. I don't think as a business owner you can ever say that's it. I know everything there is, even if you have to revisit what I call basic principles that may have been around for decades. I think going back and keep that continual learning is really important. But I think I've also made some mistakes about investing in learning, investing in your own learning. It's been the wrong source as such. And therefore they've not been productive. So still settle that shiny bauble syndrome, getting better at it. I think in terms of the noise, I think we are living in a universe as such, and I think it's really peculiar. I've just noticed a dramatic turn from the legacy. Lockdown officially is over, but I think we're still feeling the ripple effects of lockdown, as I said, in terms of buying behaviour, how people interact, how people want to construct meetings. Some of it's good, it's not all bad. The pace of technology, market entry being much easier now for software providers coming in, and then holding on to what's important and not getting drowned out by the continual noise, I think is something that I want to be working on for next year, as well as the self-care, in terms of it's not so much a time of work, but probably switching off a little bit earlier. But I think that's for me, my challenges for next year. And I think it's going to be quite difficult to be a bit more focused, a bit more cutting certain bits out, and not even being bothered by that in terms of taking on board some techniques here to focus a little bit more. So that's what I'm looking for. But I think we are in a very interesting landscape still. I don't think it's fully shaken out in terms of the way the world is unfolding.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I agree about meetings, and there are certain people who are really craving being together and want to be in the same room a lot more, as in physical room. And then we've still got that sort of online behaviour where it's some groups are really good and really attentive and listen to each other properly and everything else, and others are in and out. It feels very, very mixed. But you've had some amazing success this year, and I think watching you do what you've been doing, for instance, on your YouTube channel, because I know that you've had some goals around that, and you've done an incredible job. How many subscribers have you got now?
I think I'm just shy of 5,000.
It's brilliant.
Just shy of 5,000, about 420,000 views. It's okay. It's not bad. My target for next year, you've got to set these boundaries. I'm looking to get that up to about 50,000 by this time next year.
Wow, that'd be amazing. And you'll do it because you put your mind to it and you focus. And I think what you do is, it's what we've been talking about really. Sometimes the secret to success is knowing what you want and going for it and having a goal and everything. But you've got to be consistent in putting the effort in. 100%. And you are very, very consistent. This, by the way, everyone, we're talking about the I Hate Numbers YouTube channel and the podcast as well that Mahmood has, which is amazing. So you should really, if you've not tuned into that yet, please do. But you are super, super consistent. No matter what's going on in life, in the world, something of value lands on those channels.
Was what they say about the old,
Regularly.
there used to be an adage for the old England football team that they might not be much good, but at least they turn up.
Well, there's also, I mean, you are very, very good. There's also very, very good. But the other thing is that I think by showing up, we get better.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was looking at the first blogs that I wrote back in, I don't know, 2017 or something, and then looking at how I blog now, and they're like night and day. But if I hadn't written all those blogs between 2017 and now, I wouldn't have got to where I am. And I'm sure in 2025, I'll look back on the 2023 blogs and think, oh my goodness, that they could have been so much better. And that's how we are. We need to do the thing to learn the thing and get better at it. And you've always been good at it. Yeah,
that's a good reference point there, Jo, because I think whatever industry you are in, whether you're a performer, an entertainer, whether you're somebody who makes things with their hand, a craftsperson, you see them. If you go back to the very first thing that you did and you look at it, and that's good to have a record of that, and then you look where you are now, to get from that not so good to being more than proficient, you've got to go through there and you've got to learn from things that go wrong. And I think there's a lot of what I call nowadays, what I call templated business people here. And there seems to be sometimes a lack of people recognizing that unless you go through and get your fingers burned, unless you go through and make some mistakes and things don't quite work out, you have no lessons to draw on. You've got nothing to say, oh, actually, I made a mistake, for example, whether it's at the lowly, giving this person credit and I didn't chase them up. When you've got your fingers burnt, hopefully it never happens to people, but unless that happens, you don't take on board what you need to do right. So it's critical, I think, in a business that things go wrong sometimes, because you'll never learn from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. And there need to be, hopefully, things that go wrong that aren't devastatingly wrong.
Of course, yeah.
And safety wrong and all of those. But just for clarity for everybody, we're talking about growth and moving forward and learning and being better and doing more and doing different. So I couldn't agree more with that. And talking of 2024 and your goals for that and my goals, we've got a joint goal, haven't we? So we are with your next big win. We've got some exciting stuff coming out. Yeah.
Well, listen, next big win really started about, what would you say, we're in about our second year. Yeah. So in terms of, I think we had a great planning meeting here. We've got some great things, but now, folks, by the way, obviously the site's there. Go and have a look at there. We've got the a great leadership style questionnaire quiz there that tap into there, and we're actually helping basically whether it's a product development, whether it's a business direction, whatever you define as your own next big win here. I think me and Jo between us have probably got about a few decades of experience behind us.
I reckon 70, I reckon.
I think you could be right actually there. I should say it's very dramatically. But yeah, it's there. So we'll check it out. I mean, what would you say is the biggest thing that people get before we talk about our other business goals, Jo? Is that the biggest thing that people get from engaging with the next big win?
I think it's about having really clear, and even if you're not clear, it's about getting clear. So if you've got a fuzzy idea or that you want to work through and articulate and achieve, there's something there, you want to go after it. And if you've clarified that idea, you think you have, and you want to go after it, we are here to help you achieve that thing. So we've got resources, support, and you can talk to us directly as well. You can get in contact, and we can have a call with you and the two of us. So you get both of us there, and we'll help you with it. So it's about having a plan. It's about thinking it through. It's about de-risking it, and it's about accelerating how you get from A to B. Because this is the space that Mahmood and I are in, is making your next big win, your next innovation, the big thing you want to achieve for your business happen. And we help you do that when it's on top of your busy day job, you know. So you've already got your business to run and the things to do, and we get all of that. We get how busy you are and how busy your team are. So we help you with really practical ways of delivering your next big win on top of all of that in a de-risked, accelerated way.
Very well put there. And so from that, what about yourself then? How do you see the landscape for 2024 in general terms? And give me one big goal for yourself, apart book aside.
I have a goal to develop more on the non-executive director side. So I do some non-executive directing, if that's a thing that you can do. But I do, and I love that. So I'd like to do more of that, and really speaking and getting the word out about the book as well. I know there's a writing side of the book, but also that marketing and getting some different places, meeting some different people, and doing some travel would be amazing.
That's fantastic. And I personally speaking, thinking when me and you are speaking this time next year, you'll have pretty much achieved that.
Well, I hope so. You can hold me accountable, and we'll see how I've got on. What about you? What about you?
Similar sort of vein, actually. I think for me, I'd like to develop the numbers know-how side of the business here in terms of more broadcasting. I've got a big goal here, which I'll share with you off screen, but it's more of the broadcasting and speaking, and probably I've got another book in me that's I'm looking to bring out probably next summer there as well. But actually just building up a business on the numbers know-how thing, more in terms of broadcasting, more in terms of getting out there. And it's not for vanity's sake, by the way, but it's just actually because I want to expand my international audience as well. It saddens me sometimes about how many business owners in different sectors here, aren't actually making the most of their talents here, because there's elements missing in their business, which I believe that the next big win in our individual businesses can support them in, and making them realise and actually make them more sustainable and less risky to failure. Yeah,
definitely. That sounds amazing, and you'll blow the socks off that, and you'll smash all of that stuff. And your first book was amazing. I was privileged to get an advanced read of it before it came out. So it's the I Hate Numbers book, which is really a really good read. And I keep going back and rereading. So I reread different sections and use it to help other people in the businesses that I work with as well. So it's great stuff.
So mutual accountability.
Yeah. Sorry.
Mutual accountability.
Yes. Yeah. And also we do that though, don't we? We do that for each other. So we have our it tends to be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning, really, really early. And we have our catch-ups, and we do hold each other accountable and support each other in things. And and that's what we want to do for you watching or listening, tuning in, is we're here to help you with some of that accountability as well. So let us know if we can help with that.
So Jo, just as we're wrapping up then, so what's your one Christmas and Happy New Year wish for people out there?
I wish for everyone that a really peaceful holiday season. And I hope that people come back in the new year. I mean, some people, it depends on the business. This might be your busiest time of year, right? So it depends what business you're in. But I hope that 2024 is healthy, prosperous, and an absolute blast for you.
Yeah, I like that. For me, I think it will be people to remain sanguine. And if you're not sanguine, become sanguine. Maintain a sense of humour and tolerance for each other. Be kind, and kindness isn't about softness. Kindness is about honesty, being straight with people, being upfront. I mean, dentists are kind. But also, if you're in business, whether you're in the arts, the creatives, the not-for-profits, private sector, take your businesses seriously. And a business is not a one-trick pony. And take that seriously and grow that, because people will rely on you. You want to give the best that you can, but overall, stay human in whatever you do.
Yeah, and be human with yourself as well. Be kind to yourself, and look after yourself. So we will look forward to seeing you next year. We're going to be back with all sorts of stuff. We've got a whole free program that we're just uploading over this Christmas season, and you can sign up for an email and a module a week on our free Your Next Big Win program for a 10-week program, and it'll take you from idea through to thinking it through in a nice structured way. You just need about 10, 15, 20 minutes a week, and it's amazing what you can do in that time. So watch out for that.
Perfect. Apart from that, folks, watch out for Santa coming down that chimney. Have a fantastic restful break, and we'll see you guys next year.
See you on the other side. Bye.
Bye.